So it turns out that the next 3D Mario game is going to be much different than we originally thought. At first, we thought, hey, it's going to be open world and that's pretty much it. But now Miyamoto just explained some things that definitely changed the game for Mario. Now, there's going to be slight spoilers for the Super Mario Galaxy movie. If you're okay with that, let's get straight into it. Okay, so if we take a look at this right here, you can see that Miyamoto does explain that he doesn't want to be restricted from imagination and the games and the lore and all of that stuff, which means that from now on, we're most likely going to see some of the timeline and some of the story that the movie created inside the next 3D Mario game. Now, there's a lot of mixed opinions on the internet. Some of you might find this really cool, others find it a little strange. But then if you look at it really closely, if you look at it intently, you can probably start to see this is how it's going to be. Now, look at Bowser's Fury. Bowser's Fury was essentially that trial run. The last time we've seen really a 3D Mario was essentially a test bench to what's to come. Did a lot of players like this? Well, obviously they did. It was a pretty well-received game, so potentially that's how it's going to go. It's most likely going to be something open world like that, and then move on over. But if it's really taking inspiration, or should we say direct correlations to the movie, a whole lot of other things are going to be changing. Because if you remember, inside of the Mario Galaxy movie, Peach and Rosalina are sisters, and that is not the case inside of the base Mario games. That just doesn't happen. It's usually Peach and Daisy are sisters, but besides that, that is definitely really strange. So what other things could change? Usually when you look at video game sort of movies, the video game is the one that sort of anticipates all the ideas, and then the movie pretty much follows along all the ideas that are set in the video game. But it seems like that went complete U-turn, and now the Mario Galaxy movie and the Mario movie, or the Mario Bros movie, could interpretate the next 3D Mario, which honestly could lead into a lot of crazy things. Like, first off, if you remember in the first original Mario movie, you could potentially have something similar to this. You're Mario and you go and do a whole bunch of side quests and you save the day, and then all of a sudden you clean up things and boom, you find a pipe in the ground, you make your way over, and all of a sudden you're in the Mushroom Kingdom, and that's where essentially the game starts. So the first part is the prequel, where you're learning the basic controls, and the second part, you're making your way over to the main theme of the game, where you go over to the Mushroom Kingdom, you do a whole bunch of levels, something similar to Bowser's Fury, and then you keep going and the game will kind of shift into something like that. Because if we're really seeing that, the lore in games have definitely changed. The lore and everything has pretty much changed. Maybe we can see something like Bowser being friendly Bowser, and Bowser Jr. being the big bad from now on. Hope that's not the case, because usually Bowser's the big bad, but seeing as the first part of the Mario Galaxy movie, that was essentially the case, and then he completely forgot about them. So yeah, there's definitely a possibility of pretty much anything. You could possibly see like Mario Karts, where potentially inside the next 3D Mario game, you will essentially see something like the original Mario Bros. Movie, where you could go and get yourself a Mario Kart and start zooming across the surface. Honestly, definitely would be really, really interesting. And potentially, the next 3D Mario game isn't just going to be in the world of 3D Mario, but instead in the world of Nintendo, the world of Mario as a whole, which would implement a lot of characters that weren't necessarily Mario characters. Like, this is called the Super Mario Galaxy movie, but yeah, we had Fox McCloud, Rob the Robot, and other characters that were associated to that. You definitely look at this and say that the next Mario game is going to be different. So let's just assume that it is going to be an open world. Well, first off, it's definitely going to be something very, very similar to Bowser's Fury, and then you could probably see something like Mario Galaxy movie. Now, the Mario Galaxy movie didn't really have that big of a story. It just wasn't like a super big enhanced story like the first one, but instead sort of tiny little levels. Potentially, this is where it could be influence in the games. This is what Miyamoto's talking about. We're going to be seeing a Super Mario Galaxy movie video game or something like that, where you go to a whole bunch of different points and regions into the games, which would definitely ruin the timeline, but also make a split dimension sort of timeline. Now, I don't believe that every single Mario game is connected in some way, but just references, so potentially the next 3D Mario is going to be some sort of Super Mario Rift Apart, where you go back to the past and you go back to the future and you see T-Rexes and you can play Mario Kart inside of the next 3D Mario. Honestly, would be really, really interesting, but I don't necessarily think that it's going to change a whole lot. Every single Mario game, every single 3D Mario game is different in some way. It might be like a connection, it might be a sequel, but besides that, it's pretty much different. Like if you look at it, you had Super Mario Galaxy, and then it moved over to the Super Mario 3D Land, which was obviously a little bit different. Super Mario Galaxy 1 and Galaxy 2, we can stick those together and call it a day. But the reason why I'm saying this is because every new generation of Mario is just different. So if we don't get Super Mario Odyssey 2, which it doesn't seem like we're getting Odyssey 2, it's probably going to be a lot different. It could definitely be called Super Mario Universe or something like that, and it could allow you to go open world in some ways, somehow would be really, really interesting. But I'm honestly intrigued to know that, well, the movies are definitely going to shape the lore. So what other lore is going to be shaped? What other lore is going to be different? Because there's one movie that's coming out soon that's called the Legend of Zelda movie. And if you know the Legend of Zelda timeline, the Legend of Zelda pretty much everything is pretty much perfect. It's such a good story in there, and does that mean that every single game from the Mario movie, every single game from Nintendo is going to be essentially, the lore is going to be flipped. So instead of the video game lore that we know so far and love, it's going to be the movie lore that they pretty much just followed from the games but then added different things. Like, that would definitely be wild. That would be definitely really crazy, to be honest. So maybe this is exactly what Nintendo is planning. We are going to be seeing more movies that are going to change the timeline in games. This could be a great thing or a bad thing, like I said, but honestly, I just look at this as being just strange, because we all want the next 3D Mario game, but do we really want to see things super change, like it's a completely different game from the original game? Or do we just want to see like the game getting something brand new? So like, honestly, I don't know what in the world Miyamoto's doing. You could really tell that he's not a big fan of story. Look at every single 3D Mario game. You can tell that the story isn't the greatest. Some of it is pretty much just pictures, and other is like maybe a cutscene here and there. But besides that, it's pretty much just levels. You do the levels, and there you go. Usually when you see an open world game, the story has to be good. The story has to be good as an open world game, because if there's not really a story, then there's not really a point to the game, if you know what I mean. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild had a great story. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom had a great story. You look at something like Cyberpunk 2077, that's a game that's an open world, had a great story. Pretty much every single open world game has to have a great story. So it's definitely really interesting on how Nintendo is going to take shape on the whole segment of Super Mario. Maybe it's not going to change whatsoever. Maybe Miyamoto was almost ready for bed or something, I don't know. But overall, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that this is definitely something weird or not so weird? Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. Consider it the like button, maybe subscribing if you're new. We do a bunch of different Nintendo content on this channel. Anyways, hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one.